This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing stated here is medical advice, and I am not a doctor. Do not take anything in this episode as a recommendation to use or purchase performance-enhancing drugs, supplements, or research chemicals. Always consult your licensed healthcare professional before starting or stopping anything that could affect your health. This content is for harm reduction education only and is not encouraging the use of SARMs or any related substances. Welcome back to the show. Today, we are diving deep into the world of SARMs, selective androgen receptor modulators. These compounds have exploded in popularity in the fitness and bodybuilding world, especially over the last decade. They are marketed as the next generation of anabolic performance enhancers, promising muscle growth, fat loss, faster recovery, and performance benefits, without the side effects of steroids. But as with most things that sound too good to be true, there is a lot more to discuss, including risks, unknown long-term effects, regulatory issues, and real-world user experiences. In this episode, we are going to break down everything you need to know: what SARMs are, how they work, the most common types, realistic effects, side effects, stacking culture, whether they are legal, whether they are safe, the difference between research chemicals and black market SARMs, what people claim to experience, and why many experts still say caution is absolutely necessary. We will look at popular compounds like Ostarine, R80, 140, LGD, 4033, negative 677 Malawine Quatches, S23, YK, 11, and more. We will break down dosing philosophies that are commonly discussed online, but again, remember, nothing here is medical advice. We are simply talking knowledge, science, mechanisms, experiences, and harm reduction education. So, let's start with the basics. What are SARMs? SARMs stand for selective androgen receptor modulators. That means they bind to androgen receptors, similar to anabolic steroids. But instead of activating androgen receptors everywhere, including organs and tissues where we do not want androgen activity, they're designed to target muscle and bone more selectively. In theory, they help build muscle and strength without the side effects associated with full-spectrum anabolic steroid hormone activity. Side effects like prostate enlargement, severe hormonal imbalance, hair loss acceleration, liver stress, and others. SARMs were originally researched for medical use, specifically for conditions like cancer-related muscle wasting, osteoporosis, age-related muscle decline, and chronic illness. Drug companies originally wanted to create something that could help preserve muscle without the risks of testosterone therapy or traditional anabolic steroids. But as clinical trials progressed, a funny thing happened. People started noticing that these compounds worked, and bodybuilders and athletes started paying attention. Then the compounds leaked into the fitness world, and from there, SARMs became a phenomenon. Now, let's talk about mechanism. SARMs work by binding to androgen receptors in muscle tissue. When they bind, they send a signal that tells the body to increase protein synthesis, improve nitrogen retention, and activate pathways that support muscle growth. In basic terms, they tell your muscle cells to grow, just like anabolic steroids do. But they do it without turning into estrogen, and without converting into DHT. That is the theory, at least. The reality is more complicated. Because while SARMs do not convert into estrogen or DHT, many still suppress the natural testosterone system, meaning the body senses synthetic androgen activity and downregulates natural testosterone production. That is why so many users report needing post-cycle therapy, or PCT, similar to steroid cycles. Let's break down some of the most common SARMs, beginning with Ostarine. Ostarine, also called negative 2866 Malawian-Kwaches, is probably the most widely recognized SARM. It is known for being milder compared to others. Users report lean muscle gains, improved strength, improved recovery, and fat loss support. It is often described as the beginner SARM, but mild does not mean harmless. Studies show that even low doses can suppress natural testosterone. Still, many online fitness communities describe Ostarine as the entry point compound that gives a slow and steady lean growth effect. Next is ligandrol, also called LGD 4033. This one is considered stronger than Ostarine, known for helping increase strength more aggressively, known for noticeable size increases, known for aggressive appetite increase. Some users say it feels like a cleaner anabolic steroid effect. But again, suppression increases and so do risks. Some people online say LGD can cause water retention, temporary bloating, or mood changes. And users almost always emphasize the need for a proper post-cycle recovery. Now we have RAD 140, also called testalone. RAD is considered one of the strongest SARMs. And this is where you start hearing stories that sound like steroid cycle gains. Rapid strength increases, noticeable muscle fullness, aggression and drive in the gym, faster recovery. The reputation for RAD 140 is high power and high suppression. Many online users call it the SARM that feels closest to testosterone. But there have been discussions about potential liver enzyme impact, possible estrogen rebound when coming off, and even anecdotal reports of hair thinning for those genetically predisposed. Some animal research raises questions about toxicity at high levels, so people stress caution. Now, let's talk about S23. This is considered one of the strongest experimental SARMs ever introduced to the fitness underground. People talk about intense strength, noticeable recomposition, and strong fat loss synergy. But S23 is also known for being extremely suppressive. Some say it can shut down natural testosterone very hard. There are also discussions around temporary sexual dysfunction during and after cycles. For some users, that alone is enough to avoid it. Next, YK11. YK11 is not technically a traditional SARM. It is often categorized as a myostatin inhibitor with SARM-like properties. Myostatin is a protein that limits muscle growth. So if you block it, the theory is that muscle can grow more easily. YK11 is still considered experimental, and long-term human data is lacking. But users online describe intense strength and mass increases. Some also report joint dryness, back pumps, mood swings, and strong suppression. This is one many researchers say needs significantly more safety data. Next, negative 677 Malawian-Kwaches. This one gets confused often. Negative 677 Malawian-Kwaches is not a SARM. It is a growth hormone secretagogue. It stimulates ghrelin receptors, increasing growth hormone levels naturally. It is known for increasing appetite heavily, improving sleep quality, increasing water retention sometimes, and producing slow but steady muscle gain. It is extremely popular in body recomposition circles. It also gets stacked with other SARMs frequently, because it works through a completely different hormone pathway. And yes, users online talk about hunger like a freight train. So if someone wants to gain weight, they love negative 677 Malawian kwaches. If someone is cutting fat and appetite is their enemy, sometimes this one is avoided. We also have androgen, or S4, known for recomposition and fat loss. Some users report a strange yellow-visioned tint with this compound, especially in darkness or when switching light conditions. Because of that side effect, many people avoid it or run it at lower doses. Some people also mention cardarine, often lumped into the SARM category online, but it is actually a PPAR agonist, a metabolic modulator, known for improving endurance, fat oxidation, and cardiovascular output. But it has come under scrutiny due to rodent cancer study data. So again, caution and research are key. Now, let's talk about results. What do people actually report when using SARMs? Based on community feedback, strength tends to increase noticeably. Reps go up. Weight on the bar goes up. Muscles feel fuller. Recovery improves. Pumps increase. Body recomposition becomes easier. Users say they hold onto muscle better when in a calorie deficit. Some say they feel mild increases in confidence and drive, though not to the same level as steroids like testosterone or trenbolone. And many people report joint healing feelings on compounds like Ostarine. But remember, personal testimonials are not clinical evidence, and everyone responds differently. Now let's talk about risks and side effects, because this conversation must be balanced. The number one risk discussed is hormonal suppression. Even mild SARMs can reduce natural testosterone production. For some people, this rebounds naturally. For others, they need a PCT. Some experience fatigue, low libido, mood changes, depression, poor gym motivation, and feeling flat after cycles. Other concerns include liver enzyme changes, cholesterol disruptions, hair shedding for genetically sensitive individuals, acne, night sweats, insomnia, anxiety or irritability in some users, joint dryness on certain compounds, vision issues with S4, and long-term unknowns for organ health. There is also the issue of purity. SARMs are not legal for human use or sale as dietary supplements. They are sold as research chemicals. This means there is no FDA regulation on quality. Countless third-party lab tests online show that many products labeled as SARMs are either mislabeled, underdosed, or spiked with prohormones or steroids. That lack of regulation is one of the biggest concerns. People think they are taking a mild research compound, but some are unknowingly taking oral steroids disguised as SARMs. So sourcing becomes a huge issue. Next, legality. SARMs are legal to buy as research chemicals, not for human consumption. They are banned by WADA and banned in competitive sports. Possessing them is not illegal, but selling them as dietary supplements is. And using them in professional sports can result in suspension or bans. So again, these are not supplements. They are experimental compounds. Let's also talk stacking culture. Many users combine SARMs for synergistic effects. For example, RAD 140 with negative 677 milliquaches for strength and mass. Ostarine with cardarine for cutting phases. LGD with YK 11 for aggressive bulking. But stacking increases suppression, increases unknown risks, and increases difficulty recovering hormone balance afterward. Many people underestimate how powerful these compounds are and treat them casually because they are not called steroids. But in reality, they absolutely influence hormone pathways. Now, let's talk about PCT, post-cycle therapy. In many online discussions, users treat SARMs like steroid cycles, running substances like Nolvadex or Clomid afterward. The purpose is to help kickstart natural testosterone production. But again, these drugs have their own risks and should not be used casually. Some people choose natural recovery supplements instead, but results vary widely. And there is no universal formula. Everyone's endocrine system is different. So where do SARMs stand in the world of performance enhancement? They are not harmless. They are not magic. They are not supplements. They are powerful synthetic research chemicals with real effects, real risks, real recovery challenges, and real unknowns long term. Some people love them. Some regret them. Some feel they are safer than steroids. Others say they are more unpredictable because of limited research and inconsistent product purity. The smartest takeaway is education, respect for the compounds, harm reduction, and awareness that just because something is marketed as safer does not mean it is safe. Let's address one of the biggest myths: the idea that SARMs do not suppress testosterone. That is false. Nearly all true SARMs show suppression in clinical data, even at low doses. So if someone enters this world unprepared, they may end a cycle feeling great, but then crash hard afterward. That crash is where many report losing their gains, and losing motivation, and feeling physically and mentally off. That is why responsible users say having a recovery plan matters, and why the smartest long-term strategy is to focus on natural training and nutrition first, before ever considering experimental compounds. Now, let's zoom out and talk about mindset. Fitness culture often promises shortcuts, faster gains, faster fat loss. The best lifters and physique athletes, however, all agree on one thing: nothing replaces consistent training, hard work, protein, sleep, progressive overload, time under tension. It is tempting to chase speed, but your body does not grow instantly. Muscle is earned. Discipline is earned. Patience is earned. SARMs are not a replacement for effort. They cannot give long-term progress if your foundation is weak. The strongest physiques in the world are built with foundational habits first, not shortcuts first. And here's another truth that many enhanced athletes finally realize: the fastest way to regret is rushing into chemical enhancement before mastering discipline. But the fastest way to achieve greatness, if someone ever does choose enhancement, is waiting until they have already mastered training, already mastered nutrition, already mastered sleep and recovery, already built years of progress. That way, if they ever enhanced, it amplifies excellence, not laziness. That mindset matters, because you never want a performance enhancer to be the reason you feel trapped. You want your work ethic to be your foundation. Anything else should be optional, not required. So, what does responsible fitness culture look like? It looks like education, self-respect, health-first thinking, balanced decision-making. It looks like knowing that muscles grow, lives are long, and shortcuts come with strings attached. Knowledge lets you control your destiny. Ignorance makes you vulnerable. That is why we talk about this openly, not to encourage use, but to empower understanding. Harm reduction saves lives. Education prevents regret. And informed people make better decisions for their health and future. Before we wrap up, here is the second and final disclaimer. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing here is medical advice. I am not recommending, encouraging, or promoting the use of SARMs, steroids, or any research chemicals. Always talk to your licensed healthcare provider before making any health, supplement, or medication decisions. Performance-enhancing compounds carry risks and consequences, and nothing stated here should be interpreted as guidance to use them. Thanks for listening, keep learning, and stay curious.